Full Throttle TV welcomes you to coverage of the LoonyBin Lures 250 here, live from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, the America's home for speed. Last week we had the qualifying races where we saw 48 drivers attempt to make this race. Only 40 of those drivers are able to start tonight and start their 2021 season here at Full Throttle Sim Racing. I am joined in the booth by a special guest, Richie Coy, tonight. Richie, it's going to be an exciting race for these drivers. What can we expect out there on the high banks of Daytona?
I'm expecting a large pack of 2x2 for pretty much the whole race. These guys are going to be going to the front as quickly as they can. They're going to try to get either lane, get 2x2, probably 10, 12 cars deep here. So I expect a lot of 2x2 racing, side-by-side drafting, and a lot of close action.
Yeah, exactly right, Richie. And first race of the season, high banks of Daytona, it's kind of a Russian roulette when you come out on the track because these guys are pretty much locked together. We saw this last night in the real race where the guys couldn't make any moves, but when they made moves, it was a lot of excitement. Do you think we're going to see 2 and 3 wide racing here tonight?
Absolutely. I believe a good portion of the beginning part of the race will be double file for as far back as they possibly can. And as the race moves on, I think you'll actually see 3 wide start to come into play.
So we got about 5 minutes left here in practice. Case McMullen on top of the board, followed by Randy McCanny, Randall Ballard, Bill Benedict, and Brian Helms. So an eclectic group of drivers in the top 5. And Richie, unfortunately, you're joining me. I'm glad you're joining me here tonight, but unfortunately, part of the reason was because of some issues in the duels. How difficult were those duel races last week?
Well, with any Daytona race, like you said before, it's a crapshoot. So when you add personal mistakes to that crapshoot, it makes it that much harder. The qualifying with 48 guys vying for 40 spots, it was pretty intense. The racing was pretty intense. And unfortunately, I made an error on pit road, which cost me a shot to be in the race tonight. But I'm glad I could be in here in the booth with you tonight.
We're glad to have you, Richie, and shout out to DJ Lyon. Unfortunately, with the winter weather moving across the East Coast and the South, some people are out without electric, so he is one of those people having that issue tonight, but we will hear from him later in the season, no doubt. But tonight, we have the LoonyBin Lures 250. LoonyBin Lures, thanks to Kevin and Paul Sargent sponsoring tonight's race. Those guys both going to be in the race from Raging Moose Racing. Check LoonyBin Lures out on Facebook, LoonyBin Lures, as you see it spelled out there. Let's take a look, Richie, at the race information here tonight. Daytona International Speedway, 2.5 miles. It is the second biggest track oval that they will race on this season. Right now, we're looking at a track temp of about 76 degrees, or 86 degrees, I apologize, and a air temp of 76 degrees.
That's not too bad. It's not very hot, which is good for these cars. You can put some more tape on the cars once the air temperature goes down. More tape means better drafting, better closing speeds, and better opportunity to pass.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This track also pretty much at sea level, and while a lot of drivers probably don't think about that, that is actually a really important thing. This track is only sitting about 37 feet above sea level, which means those cars are going to be running real rich on power here tonight at Daytona. And then looking ahead at this schedule, we'll be back at Daytona again next week for the road course. So these guys will spend 2 weeks in a row here at Daytona International Speedway.
Actually, it's closer to 3 weeks with all the speed weeks that we're doing with practices and duels and stuff. So I'm pretty sure most of the teams have set up camp here.
That's a really good point, Richie. Something I didn't really think about there. Daytona is such a big deal, and NASCAR has changed how they've done their speed weeks and things like that in the past to this year, where it's basically like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But here at Full Throttle Sim Racing, that preseason Thunder format still reigns supreme, and these teams have been at Daytona for the last 2 or 3 weeks now.
Yep, and I've personally been on the track now in all 3 divisions, and we even had the 24 hours of Daytona just a week, I believe, before our speed weeks began.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Richie. And we had our sports car series there 2.5 hours. So these guys, a lot of these guys out here tonight, making their 4th race here at Daytona. Then we have to go back next week. So we got about 3 minutes left here in qualifying. Looking at that GT Performance Sim Sport team, Bill Benedict and Gary Griffith, they're on the track right now. But coming into the season, Richie, Bernard Persson, he was the guy that won the championship last year for the 2020C season. That team, Spear Motorsports, switching over to Toyota with their affiliate team, Bandit Racing. How much of an impact is that going to make this season in his title defense?
Well, it's a pretty big move going from Chevy to Toyota. I believe that they're the only 2 Toyota teams in the field. So as far as TRD is concerned, they're going to be it. They're going to be the ones that they're focusing on. And I think that may help them because they're the only ones with Toyota. So like I said, they're going to get the focus from Toyota on it. So I think it'll be a good help for them.
And you look out there, Bernard Persson did really well in the Clash Series, or not the Clash Series, the Clash race that happened before the race season. But the guy that won that Clash event was Sherwood Williford. Excuse me, he put that car in the front and was basically never seen again. But the Spear guys worked very well together. And now with that Toyota conglomerate, there is actually some more Toyotas, Richie. I did forget Zach McDaniel in that 42 running a Toyota. So there is a couple of stragglers in the Toyota camp out there tonight. But, you know, we look at that Rookie of the Year camp. Zach McDaniel, very, very good in the Truck Series. And now he's making a full season appearance here in the Cup Series. How much different is running those trucks compared to running the Cup car?
Quite a bit different. The trucks, you don't have quite the horsepower with the trucks, so you don't have the speed, but the trucks actually, believe it or not, they draft better. And what I mean by that is that you could pick up the draft and suck up to the draft so much better and quicker with the trucks that it allows for a lot of opportunities to pass once you get behind drafting. These Cup cars, while they draft very well, they don't suck up quite as good as some of the other cars, specifically the trucks. So it's a little bit different when you try to pass somebody with the drafting here. So I would expect that there's a little bit of a learning curve there.
You're exactly right, Rich. And we look at Zach McDaniel, and we got some other guys, some new guys out there. Steven Vrooman, he's making his season debut, staying 32nd on the board here tonight. Rachel Hunt joined that Rage and Moose Racing team. Probably the biggest acquisition of the entire season. I think a lot of people were taken by surprise with that move as we're ending our warm-up here and we're getting about ready to grid. But Richie, I mean, what did you think when you saw Rachel Hunt moving over to Rage and Moose Racing?
Well, I know she was one of the big free agent picks for over the winter, and I think that the team did very well in picking Rachel Hunt. I know she's fast every week. She's going to be up front every week, and I think that's going to be a fantastic acquisition for them. I think it's going to help them, the whole team, become a better team.
Exactly right. And we'll have all kinds of storylines all day throughout this race tonight because there's so many different things to catch up on. We have Dean Doucette out there as well. Won 2 championships last season, and you wonder if he can get one of those this year. The guys are getting lined up on the track, haven't quite got out there just yet, but we do have the grid ready to go, and let's take a look at our LoonyBin Lures 250 starting lineup. This was determined by the qualifying and dual race last week, last Monday night that you saw here on Full Throttle TV. Ronnie Royal, Brian Helm, they're the guys on the pole. They got those positions from actual qualifying. So Spear Motorsports doing very well. In row number 2, the dual winners, both of them, again, Spear Motorsports, Bernard Persson and Jason Spear. Row number 3, it's Steve Berry Racing's Brandon Elder and Sherwood Williford, another Spear Motorsports driver. Row number 4 is Randall Ballard and Brad Patterson. Randall Ballard also associated with the Bandit Racing and Spear Motorsports group. And then in row 5, Richie, we have Case McMullen and David Hensley.
Starting 11th, we have Dean Doucette with the Steve Berry Racing in the number 29. Starting outside is Gary Griffin in the number 12 with the GT Performance Sim Sports. Starting 13th, we have Bill Benedict in the number 90. Starting outside him is the number 5 of Bobby Terrell, who is a multi-time Xfinity champion.
You're exactly right, Richie. And then looking through the rest of this field, row number 8, we got Rachel Hunt, Tony Solaire, Gil Gawk, and Chris Beck will row out in row 9. Randy McCanny, Kevin Sargent in row number 10 there. Row 11, Chad Lang, Ralph Nolan Jr. Row 12, Troy Torgerson and Kevin Rupert. Row 13, Stephen Vrooman and Wayne Grossi. And because it's such a short pace lap, we'll let the rest of these guys cycle through here. You see Tracy Powers back there. Terry Cooper Jr. coming from the back in 32nd. Steve Loomis. Jeff Bratton, Jared Daniels, one of the new drivers. Lane Allen and Donnie Staubach's teammates back there in the back, Richie. And Brody Hanna, he'll be the last driver out here tonight on the grid. 39 drivers. One driver was not able to make it, again, because of electric issue. That's Jason Martin. So shout out to Jason, who qualified for the race, but will miss it here tonight. Pace car about to make a turn here, and here we go. As green flag is already out. That was a very quick green flag, and we're down and away here for the LoonyBin 250 here at Daytona International Speedway. And the Speedway Motorsports guys, great start on the Guff.
Looks like everybody's coming up to speed pretty good here. Again, they're all 2x2, so it takes at least a lap and a half, 2 laps to get up to actually get up to speed. We got a couple guys, and I think we might have a wreck in the back of the pack.
And we have a wreck already. And that might have included Andrew Palicki and Stephen Vrooman.
Yeah, I just quickly saw it happening. I'm going to try to check, see if I can take a replay and see what happened.
You see some cars back here stranded. Wayne Grossi might have been involved. And let's see if we can get a replay on this accident. On board, Lane Allen coming through. See the red cat. Somebody's on the apron already. And looks like several drivers involved. Tracy Powers, Stephen Vrooman. We'll see if we can get a better look there.
It looked to me like the 44 might have missed a shift and was not coming up to speed. He was in the middle of the track, and then it just basically collected behind him.
That's not the way these guys want to start off a 100-lap race here. Let's take a look at another replay here. And somebody blew an engine. You're right, Richie. Chris Beck in the 44. We saw a puff of smoke out of that 44 machine, and it expired. And unfortunately, Wayne Grossi and several other drivers nowhere to go here already in this race.
Well, I'm pretty sure I heard something in the garage overnight that the crew chief was a little had some issues with that during practice, and they decided not to change that engine overnight after practice. And I guess that they maybe should have done that and started last. Yeah,
a very unfortunate situation, as that was right in the middle of the pack, and not much anybody can do there when that hole closes up. It's when you're the guy that's right at the very front of the pack, there's not much you can do when somebody blows their engine right in front of you.
Well, it's having been in these cars, they have that Lexan clear plastic on the back of the spoiler, and while that helps a little bit, when you're directly behind people in these cars, you really can't see much past that car. So if there's a car in front of another car that's slowing down, there's a good bet that you can't see that coming.
So tough break for Flying Tigers Racing. Chris Beck there in the 44. Engine expired, and we have several drivers involved in that. Wayne Grossi, Tracy Powers, Dale Nearad, Lane Allen, Donnie Staubach might have gotten a piece of it, although a little piece. These guys all with some damage here tonight. And that's a tough way to start out. 3 laps into a 100-lap event. Richie, how does, when you have a caution that comes out that early, does that kind of change your mindset already in this race? Does it increase the aggression? Does it decrease the aggression? What happens as a driver?
Well, I mean, you go through this whole process before this race of driver's announcements and getting ready, getting set. You get your mindset ready to go, and ultimately, I think it just ends up just delaying the inevitable, and you get so psyched to get ready for the green flag. You go down into 1 and 2, and the caution comes out, and it becomes a big letdown. Like you just, come on, we got to do this again. You just ramp up and try to get this done, to get this started, because you want to get the race started. You wanted to try to get move up and do the best you can. So ultimately, I think it just prolongs that inevitability of wanting to get the race started.
That's a very good point. Since it was a very quick start here tonight, because of the format that is done, with the duels, the grid is already put into the system, so not a lot of grid time. There were 8 drivers that failed to qualify here. John Held, James Torrey, Roy Collins, Rob Shoemaker, Brian Bliss, Richie Coy, Kenneth Schultz all failed to qualify for the event. Jeff Winter was qualified in, but he actually had some other obligations with a work schedule that caused him to miss the event. That allowed Kevin Rupert to get into the event here tonight, but those drivers all failed to qualify, so they will be looking to make their debut next week and try not to get too far behind the 8 ball. But one missed race isn't that big a deal, because something new at Full Throttle Sim Racing this year, Richie, is the fact that they are doing a playoff system for the first time really ever.
Yep, I was actually just about to say that when you started going through the list of people that didn't make it, meaning myself included, that missing the one race here is not the end of the season, because we are doing the playoff system. And with the playoff system, much like the real NASCAR boys, we are doing a win and you're in as long as you're above a specific cut line. I believe it's 25th in points when the playoffs start. So if you win a race during the season, you're pretty much guaranteed to be in the playoffs. So missing one is not the end of the world.
And Daytona could be one of those races that isn't that bad of an idea to miss. But we're glad to have you along here tonight, Richie. We're about ready to get back to green flag. Restacking the deck, it's going to be Ronnie Royal, who finished runner-up in the 2020 B Championship to Dean Doucette. He is leading the field right now. Bernard Persson, last season's champion. Outside of him, Brian Helm, 3rd. Brandon Elder, 4th. Jason Spear, 5th. Williford, Ballard, Patterson, McMullen, and David Hensley, the last Daytona winner in the dual races, not the dual races, but the dual events last season, is sitting back in 10th as we're about ready to drop the green flag.
We got a pretty good smattering of teams up here too, so it'll be a good, should be good to see who breaks out with who teams up, who pairs up with who too. So be watching to see who can get together here.
Green flag is back out in the LoonyBin Lures 250, and good start, but a little bit of a checkup in the middle of the pack, somewhere around Rachel Hunt there, but it looks like everybody's going to get going, and some stragglers at the back as well.
Yep, looks like we're making it in turn 1 without incident this time, and we got the bottom lane looks like it's going to form up pretty good here, but it also looks like the outside lane is going to catch up here, so we're going to get that 2x2 racing right here going down the backstretch.
You're exactly right, Richie, and these guys are all going down the back straightaway. A little bit better of a start this time as we jump on board the 33 of Sherwood Williford, who sits 4th in line on the bottom with 3 teammates right ahead of him. And Richie, when you have your team lined up like that, how much of an advantage is that, knowing you have your guys all lined up and you can start working together right from the get-go of the race?
That's absolutely invaluable. This is plate racing, and with the plate racing, it's one of those tracks that you can't do anything by yourself. You need that teammate, you need a team, you need that 2nd, 3rd car, and having your teammates there and having them help push and help control the race, it's invaluable.
Look at the stragglers back here. Just a couple guys that look like they might be off pace. Paul Sargent dropping off a little bit. Steve Loomis back there. Vrooman, Dale Nearad, and Tracy Powers, who has no front clip. So a tough start to the season for Tracy Powers, who had a really good, strong end to 2020C, but that 45 machine appears to be looking just to make laps tonight, it looks like.
Yep, he had a best career finish at Dover in 2020A with the 2nd place finish, so I'm sure he was trying to improve one more spot on that today. But I'll tell you, when you get wrecked in one of these races and you got to ride around the back and you're not up to pace, it makes the race just that much longer.
Back up front, these guys all pretty much lined up nose to tail. We'll look at the gaps right now, and you'll see the first 20 cars all within 2 seconds of each other. And Richie, when you're in the pack, and you're in a race like this, what is your strategy? Do you want to be at the front and just leading this thing, or do you want to drop back and stay out of the way in case some carnage happens?
You're kind of asking the wrong guy here. I always want to go to the front, but the inevitable big one can happen no matter where you are. There's always 2 strategies here. You got the guys that want to go out and be leading, and then you'll have guys that'll ride around in the back. But unfortunately, when you're riding around in the back, sometimes if the race goes green, you can lose just too much time. So me personally, I'm always trying to get to the front. I'm always trying to lead the race. That's just the way I am. That's the way I'm built. So I'm all for getting to the front.
Well, Richie, looking at this right now, I mean, we have some guys out here already starting to find some partners. Brandon Elder and Brad Patterson working on the high side, but they're kind of alone up there by themselves.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that the outside lane hasn't formed up a little better, and looks like the inside lane might be a little bit more advantageous at the moment. But it looks like there's a couple cars coming up the outside that if they can get together and stay straight, they should be able to make some headway with that.
Yeah, you see Tony Soler in there, part of Fury Motorsports, as they come around the edge there. And they're starting to get packed up a little bit there, but the two Blackwater / Steve Berry Racing drivers lined up there on the outside. But they're about 10th place on the track right now going through the turn. So not a lot of advantage there running on the outside. We see Bobby Terrell in that 5 car sticking his nose up into the top 5 for the first time tonight.
Yeah, well, he's going to be tough this year. He's a great competitor, Bobby Terrell is. I see he's got the Amaral scream going tonight. He just was picked up. Actually, another free agent that was picked up just right before the start of Daytona. He's running for Wayne Grassi Motorsports, which, again, should elevate that team dramatically.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Joining Wayne Grassi Racing right now on a 5-race deal to drive the 5 machine. Bobby out of Tennessee, Club Tennessee, and 59 years of age. So Bobby, one of the veterans out here tonight. At least that's the birthday he put in on iRacing. Who knows? He might be a 10-year-old. I'm just kidding.
He's definitely not a 10-year-old. I actually got to know Bobby during our stint running together with the Xfinity cars at the end of last season. And a quick note about Bobby, if you go back and look at the NASCAR Racing 2003 game by Papyrus, you will actually see Bobby Terrell's name in the credit as the beta tester for that particular piece of software.
There you go. That's a good tidbit of information there. Bobby, been around the sim racing community for many, many years, racing that Hawaii Ace League, which is where a lot of those beta testers came from back then. But right now sitting in a 10th spot. And right now, that outside line, Richie, we saw this in the real NASCAR race yesterday. It seemed like the outside line was the place to be. The inside line couldn't do anything. Here tonight, it seems like the outside line, there's only about, if I'm counting correctly, 11 cars out there right now, and they just can't go very far forward.
These lines are very, very air fickle, and if the front 2 guys in a line don't stay directly behind each other and have a little bit of what we're calling wiggles, and it just stalls the whole lane out. And I do see the 28 and the 51 being not right up behind each other, and when they don't actually get right up behind each other, specifically in the corners, it will stall out that outside lane. But again, as I say that, it looks like they get together and they are starting to move forward a little bit.
On board, Brandon Elder, clear sailing in front of him, but he just cannot get that spacing down. Oop, and Kevin Sargent leaves the top line. He's going to slide in front of Dean Doucette, so that's another driver dipping off the top, which is going to make that forward progress even harder here.
Yep, that gap in between there will stall out the top line a little bit, but they'll catch up pretty quickly and hopefully start that lane going again. I think that we have a case of guys just trying to be really cautious, specifically after that opening wreck.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Richie. And you look at our leaderboard right now, it's led by 5 Toyotas. Royal, Helm, Person, Spear, Williford, that's all part of the same group. Bandit Racing / Spear Motorsports, you see Andrew Palicki getting lapped. A couple other drivers have gone a lap down as well, and they're still catching some lap traffic early here in this race. But those Toyotas already showing some muscle here up front.
They have showed muscle for the entire speed week. That team has been on the ball with this plate racing. I can't argue the fact that they have some great cars going there, trucks, whatever they seem to be going on with plate racing. They're up front, and they work together great.
And you look at the statistics, sure, Williford, Bernard Person, those guys making their 11th start at Daytona here in the Cup Series. And you look at the wins. I mean, Bernard Person, even though we've had 7 different winners at Daytona, Brandon Elder getting a little loose through turn 3 and 4 as Brad Patterson's teammate really shoving him through there. But Bernard Person in 10 races has finished in the top 10 7 times and led 96 laps. So Bernard Person knows his way around this track. And to defend his title, he's going to have to start off strong, and he's doing a good job here tonight. 15 laps into the LoonyBin Lures 250.
So I read somewhere that the the winner of this race is going to be adding to their trophy collection. I believe LoonyBin has put up a trophy, an actual real trophy they're going to send the winner.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Richie. Thanks to LoonyBin Lures, those guys are furnishing a trophy, and it's really, really awesome. It's got a Fisher. It looks like, I think he's catching a trophy or a checker flag. Really awesome trophy. So that adds a little bit to it, to this race tonight, because, I mean, anytime you can win a trophy, it doesn't matter if it's for the championship or for an individual race. It's such a huge deal. It's always cool to have those things in your house, in your sim rig, sitting around.
Absolutely. My wife probably wouldn't particularly care for me bringing home another trophy, but I always try to get as many trophies as I can.
There you go. And, another thing, Richie, we talked about this season, first year for the playoffs, but there's also a charter system. So there were 50 charters bought for this season for Cup, and last season's top 20 points locked in. But with that charter system, there's payouts. So these guys that finish in the top 20 every race this season will get some money back in their pocket or their team's pocket based on their contract to add into the prestige of these races now.
Yep, it's something that Full Throttle Sim Racing came up with, and it just adds another layer to the sim racing experience, trying to give that just extra layer of realism to the sport. So we have team owners that went out and purchased a charter, which basically they bought the number, they bought the car, and then they go out and they try to sign drivers. We do have a couple owner drivers, but we have a bunch of drivers that are out there that get contracted, and they run for a specific percentage. And I believe we're limited to 4, just like NASCAR, we're limited to 4 cars per team.
You're exactly right, Richie. And it's going to be something we'll talk about a lot this season here in the Darkmatter Designs Cup Series and the Blackwire Products Truck Series, as both of those have the payouts involved. Right now, this group still pretty much as is. The top line is Elder, Patterson, Tony Soler, and then right behind Tony is, I believe, the 96 of Andrew Palicki, who is a lap down.
Actually, I believe that's the 95.
You're right. That is Ralph Nolan Jr. He was a rookie of the season in 2020B, so the 95 up there in that Chevy there for franchise racing, a single-car team, owner-driver, as Richie was talking about before. He's up there. Jeff Bratton is there as well in the 55. He's always somebody you have to watch out for at the plate track. And then right behind then is the always diminutive Casey McMullen. You never know what he's going to pull out as far as strategy goes.
I'll tell you, I've gotten to know Casey a little bit, and he's one of the most excited racers I've ever met. He's just excited to be racing here at the Full Throttle Sim Racing, but he's put on some really good shows and the races that I've got to see him run with, and you can expect good things out of him.
Casey sitting back there on the outside line there. 13th-ish on the track right now. And Lane Allen, who was caught up in that first incident with Donnie Staubitz, those guys started dead last on the grid. They actually got in on points. Both of them finished last in their duels. And they've made their way up to the front of this pack with very minimal damage from that accident. And then on top of that, they've been able to push their way from back in the 30s up to 15th place.
Well, Lane Allen's probably riding high after his big win on last Wednesday. He actually took down the Truck Series win.
Yeah, in exciting fashion. If you haven't seen that race, definitely check that out online at Full Throttle TV, because it was an exciting finish. I don't think you'll see a more exciting way to end a race. Heartbreak for some drivers, but it was a heck of a finish there on Wednesday night. But Lane Allen doing a good job for Steve Berry Racing up to 15th place. But right now, this thing has been all Spear Motorsports as we kind of expected.
Well, I actually think that as the race, the laps wind on here, I think maybe the inside line's getting a little loose because the outside line is coming.
Yeah, and you look at Brandon Elder starting to make some moves forward. Part of that big mover of the race, Jeff Bratton, we'd be remiss to mention him. He's gone from 35th to 12th. He is our big mover of the race so far, up 23 positions. Lane Allen up 22. Staubitz up 21. And then we have rookie Jared Daniels in that 21, sitting there behind Dean Doucette. He's up 17 spots, joining GT Performance Sim Sport. And so good to see Jared having a good run here tonight in that 21 that Gary Griffith drove last year.
Looks like we're catching another lap car who's running around in the bottom. That could be a little troublesome if he doesn't get up top, but outside of that, I think these guys are going to be starting to worry about pit stops pretty soon.
And that looks to be Jeff Chandler, I believe, down on the inside. He gets off on the apron, so no harm there. But yeah, Richie, I think we are getting somewhat close to pit stops. I think around 35 is what I remember.
What you'll probably see right before we get to right around probably lap 30 or so, you'll start to see some of those, what's left in the outside lane, try to get down to the bottom so that they can actually get to their pit stops without any issues. And actually, as I say that, Casey McMullen actually moved down to the inside lane. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars on the outside lane now.
And Richie, it might be lap 30 that we're actually anticipating pit stops. The fuel mileage can change drastically because the Clash events were actually 50% fuel, which also did add a little bit of a difference in fuel strategy there last time out. So we might be coming up on pit stops. Everybody's starting to get kind of lined up. And Richie, how important are these pit stops for these drivers here tonight?
Well, you know, they make all the fuss about the plate racing, about making speed, making draft, but I will tell you, Jared, the pit stop is the make or break of your race. You can trust me, it's what ruined my duel. It'll make or break your race. It's very important to be able to get down on the pit road as quickly as you can, as fast as you can, without speeding, not making any mistakes, making sure you get full fuel. If you're changing tires, make sure you get the tires changed. So when you do these green flag pit stops, it is make or break. It's very, very important.
We're going to catch 3 drivers that are slowing off pace: McDaniel, Nearad, and Powers, but it looks like everybody's going to get through there pretty well. But this is crazy. I mean, you look at the bottom line, Richie, it is stretching all the way back to the end of the back straightaway here. That's how many people are on the bottom line. There's only 5 drivers on the outside line. What's preventing, somebody like Kevin Rupert right now in the one car popping out the outside line and gaining about 10 positions before they pit?
I think that, again, I think we're going cautious here. I think you got the guys riding around in the back of the pack that want to be able to miss the big one if and when it happens. And what happens with these pit stops, when you get a bunch of these guys pitting at the same time, and you'll see probably like the Spears Motorsports and the Bandit team pull off together. So you'll get a good group of guys heading to pit road. When you do that, you have a good chance of them running over the top of each other. So you'll see a little bit of separation from some of the guys to try to stay away and not have any issues getting into pit road.
Man, Brandon Elder got a big shove from Brad Patterson there. Brad Patterson, he won the last time we were out at Daytona in one of those dual events that we had in 2020C. So Brad knows his way around here, winning by an inch, literally, last time out. But these guys all starting to get organized up on the bottom. Spear Motorsports there, Randall Ballard, Bandit Racing, all kind of lined up, ready to get into pits because those are all kind of the same drivers on the same group there.
I'm actually a little shocked that we don't have a bigger outside line, but if the Spears Motorsports guys are going to do it, you're going to see a lot of guys follow them because they've been very successful this speed weeks. They've been successful in the past as well. So if they look like they're going to be pitting, I think you're going to find a lot of people trying to pit.
Very conservative right now here at Daytona. As we are getting close to pit stops, we can feel the tension building because we don't know exactly when they're going to pit, but we know it's going to be sometime very soon. And everybody's really lining up and getting it going. Bratton a little bit loose off turn 4, but he holds on to it in the 55.
We got one car that hopped up on the outside as well, too. That's Lane Allen, actually. I think he's trying to make some headway on the outside. And he's picked up a couple spots before we get to the pit stops, just like we mentioned before.
Yeah, that was always my strategy. Everybody's trying to get to the bottom. If I can make another lap, especially if I'm riding out back all race, if I can make a lap extra, I'm going to go to the outside and pick up some spots and not worry about it. Because if the caution comes out, I don't have to worry about trying to get back by those guys as well. So it's kind of a twofold thing.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm the same way. I actually did that in the Xfinity race where I actually went an actual lap further and I actually picked up a lap lead, which is an extra point. So there's the ability to get an extra point there as well. So I would be the same way, outside all the way.
28 laps complete here at the LoonyBin Lures. 250 here, presented by Darkmatter Designs, the Cup Series here at Full Throttle Sim Racing. And these guys One caution here tonight, lap 3. It involved 6 drivers. One driver out, the driver that blew the engine. That was Chris Beck. Unfortunate way to start his season out, but unfortunate that others were caught up in it. But everybody else still on the track, so we have 38 drivers out of the 39 drivers that started the event. One driver missed the start because of electrical issues outside of his own control, thanks to the weather moving through the South and East United States. But right now, we're just kind of waiting on pit stops, Richie.
Absolutely. One of the things I've noticed since I've joined the Full Throttle Sim Racing is that cautions are very few and far between. So you got to get used to these green flag pit stops, and it's something that I've personally had to work on to get into pit road as possible, as quickly as I can, because you don't usually get a lot of opportunities to get cautions under yellow here with the Full Throttle Sim Racing. These guys are some of the best sim racers I've ever had the privilege of running with. So I'm excited to get these pit stops in and see where we can go, maybe shake up the field a little bit.
See some guys starting to lay back through there. Take a look a little bit further back in the pack. Kevin Sargent there in the 09 Raging Moose Racing. Sponsored on that 09, LoonyBin Lures there. Part owner of that company there. He's running back in 17, just ahead of him. Or just behind him is Dean Doucette, who won the 2020A and 2020B championships here at Full Throttle Sim Racing in the Darkmatter Designs Cup Series. The Canadian driver has had a whale of a couple seasons, and he's always the guy to beat at most every track, but his record at super speedways has not been very good. In 9 starts, only 3 top 10 finishes.
Well, I could definitely feel his pain for this. I'm one of the guys that is definitely waiting for Daytona the Daytona races to be over. I'm actually looking, believe it or not, I'm actually looking forward to a road course to get off the plate racing. It's definitely not my forte. I can only get better at it, hopefully going forward. But I could definitely feel Dean's, feel for Dean not having the greatest record here at Daytona. It's definitely a different style of racing, and it can be very tough.
And then looking through the rest of this pack, we got guys, Case McMullen's job back there, Gary Griffith back there in 20th, making a return to the Cup Series this year. Bill Benedict, his teammate right behind him. Rachel Hunt, sitting there, part of Raging Moose Racing this year in 22nd. You look a little bit further back, we got Brody Hanna, who's won here before. He's sitting back there, just taking his time, way back in 26th position with Randy McCanny, de facto teammates here in this race here tonight, sitting back there at the very end of this pack. They are the stragglers.
Even being in the back of the pack, Brody is still up a good 13 positions from where he started shotgun on the field. I believe he even got in because of a championship, past champions provisional. So he's definitely, even though he's at the back of the pack, he's definitely moved up in the running order.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Richie. I mean, these guys all, Brody barely made it into the field, but a solid racer, and he's one of the best getting on and off pit road that you'll see in this series this year, especially under green. Right now, we're just kind of waiting. It's looking like lap 35 when we're on board Brad Patterson trying to push his way in front of, trying to push Brandon Elder back in front of the lead here.
We got a small group of guys in the back that have broken off the pit lane here. The number 1, the number 98, Randy McCanny. So we got about 6-7 guys on pit road right now.
So looks like it's the Ford guys: Griffith, Benedict, Rachel Hunt, McCanny, Tor Torgensen, Kevin Rupert, Jared Daniels, Brody Hanna. That is all GT Performance Sim Sport and company all coming on pit road right now.
Looks like service is complete, and they're all heading back out onto the racetrack.
So we'll have those pit lane indicators down at the bottom for you guys to see getting on and off pit road there. They are down the way. And then we'll also bring up our track map, Richie, and that way everybody at home can see exactly where these guys are going to be at on the track. And you see right there, going into turn 3, that's where that lead group of Fords is. Our race leaders right now coming onto the back straightaway.
Yep, we got the last part of the guys on pit road coming, blending back onto the track as the main pack is swallowing up as they go down the backstretch.
So those guys are going to come in right in the middle of this pack, which is going to work out for them because that is exactly where they want to be at in the middle of this pack, keeping the low line, kind of forcing these guys to go high a little bit, but still no more takers on pit road. So these Ford guys pitted very early, but Richie, we're pitting on lap 32. This is looking like a 3-stop race.
Well, one of the other things that just happened as the leaders actually caught them, if they were looking to pit that lap, because those guys were still on the bottom of the racetrack, it caused them to go around at least one more lap. So it might have actually messed around with their pit strategy a little bit. But yeah, you're right. It may be a 2 to 3 stop pit stop race here.
Yeah, you're looking at pitting on lap 32. It could have been a short pit, a situation where they know they can make it to the end or make it on one more stop regardless. So pit early, don't have to worry about it. On board right now, Ronnie Royal, who is behind some of these Ford drivers. Bill Benedict is the last car on the lead lap. Gary Griffith there in front of him. Those guys are not leading the race. They are actually at the tail end of the lead lap. Jared Daniels up there as well. They all merged out, and that was really good. They merged out right with the lead pack, and that means they're able to kind of stay on the lead lap should something happen here in the next few laps. But we're past 35 laps here in this race, and Richie, I'm surprised nobody else has pitted yet.
Actually, I'm a little surprised with that too. Now that we have, it's a little bit of a jumble here with the running order. So I am expecting the other guys to peel off here any race, any lap now.
We're waiting on that right now. Torgerson, Rachel Hunt going to the front of this group, and Ronnie Royal is going to make it in, and Ronnie Royal slides on the brakes and nearly got ran into by Brian Helm, who's still locking it down. Smoke from the 26, but it looks like those guys are going to be able to get on pit road safely. But that would have been bad if teammates got together. That's going to be Brian Helm, Jason Spear, Bernard Person, Sherwood Williford, Bobby Terrell, Randall Ballard, David Hensley, Kevin Sargent, and Gil Gach all on pit road. That's going to turn the lead over to the 95 of Ralph Nolan Jr.
Yeah, as I mentioned, it can get really, really exciting when you come onto pit road, and that's why I think you saw a lot of guys actually starting to hang it back a little bit when we were getting to the pits, because you just don't want to run into somebody like that.
See the 09 down the way. He might have missed his pit road entrance. He's very slow on the apron of turn 3. Now we have Ralph Nolan, Tony Soler, Jeff Bratton. Those guys coming in, just 3 of them this time. That's going to leave Brandon Elder out there by himself. And you see some guys coming out on pit road. They are on the back straightaway, led by Paul Sargent. And that pink 49 there is where those lead lap cars are. The 24 of Ronnie Royal also in that group there, right in the middle of the back straightaway, emerging right now.
So pit stop service is going on with the 95 and the 11. Looks like they're down and they're both going away. They should be able to blend back up, and it'll be curious to see with them just pitting by themselves and not a big pack, to see if they can blend up as just as easy as everybody else did.
And you got some guards that were damaged from that earlier wreck. Terry Cooper, Steve Loomis, Stephen Bruman all on pit road as well. But Richie, you were talking about it. If these guys that haven't pitted yet, Elder, Patterson, Staubitz, Allen, McMullen, and Doucette, that's Blackwater and Steve Berry Racing, they're kind of trapped on the outside line right now. And now Brandon's able to get in.
That is one of the disadvantages when you start to do that, when you're one of the last ones to pit, is that you can get trapped up there. Now all these guys on the bottom lane have fresh tires, and if you get trapped up there, you might have to go all the way back to the end of the inside line, which you're going to end up losing a ton of time with.
See Tracy Powers, Dale Murad on pit road as well. Those guys off pace and damaged. Some more guys getting caught here. Lap down, and there comes Brandon Elder and the Blackwater Steve Berry Racing group heading on to pit road starting lap 40. So those guys, Brandon Elder gets off in the grass. Lane Allen has to slide through there as well, but those guys are, Richie, I mean, you're looking at a definitely just one more stop for these guys. Really great fuel management for them.
They definitely waited to the very end here, and that could be a great strategy. If we go green for the rest of the race, they with one more stop, and if anybody else has to make 2 stops, that'll give them a large amount of time.
So we're thinking right now, and you keep an eye on those guys in pit road. Nobody is left yet. They're still on pit road. Leaders are coming off turn 4 as they go on board Ronnie Royal right now.
That group is now just starting to come down. Coming into turn 1 right now, Brandon Elder is actually getting into turn 1 now, so they're rolling.
A little bit slow for those guys, actually. Pit lane time, Brandon Elder very fast, 35 seconds, but some of his teammates there, Donnie Staubitz, 45 seconds, and might hurt him in the long run here, trying to get with this pack. Elder going to merge, and it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be taking the lead here. But right now, Ronnie Royal looks like he's going to take over this position as they're going to work their way into turn 3.
Well, Brandon Elder might actually be a little lucky. He actually had a group of slower cars that came out in front of him, which may help him come up to speed. But the gap back to his teammates is going to probably end up making them swallow him up pretty quickly.
And that is a almost 1.5 second gap. And you see the Blackwater Steve Berry guys on the bottom, Patterson, Doucette, McMullen. Elder is actually leading this. He's not even on our camera shot. He's so far ahead right now. But again, like, oh, we got a wreck in the middle of the pack. Rachel Hunt in there. Bill Benedict involved. Troy Torgerson, Jeff Bratton going around. And Jeff Bratton in the 55. Heavy damage to that machine. And don't know what happened there, Richie, but that is a tough break for these drivers.
Looks like the 98 was involved in that one as well.
Let's see if we can get a replay on what happened here. But my goodness, that was a tough break. Worked out great for Brandon Elder, though.
Looks like maybe Rachel Hunt got a little loose going into turn 1.
So here we go. Jeff Bratton up here in your top left of your screen here. And yes, Rachel Hunt got loose. And we'll see if we can get a view from Brody Hanna's machine, because it looked like he was right on top of it as that was happening.
Wow, I bet Brody's going to need a new pair of underwear after that one. That happened literally right underneath his car. He got away with that one. My goodness.
So now let's go on board Brody Hanna. Looking out the visor cam here. There's the Mayes machine right in front of him. And yeah, Rachel Hunt just got loose going into the turn. And luckily, Brody Hanna was able to get through there, backs it down, and the 23 car will live to see another day.
So it looks like the 16, the 8, the 21, the 55, the 98, Bobby Terrell in the 5.
Let's see if we can get a look
90,
from Bobby Terrell's view too.
The 90 was involved in that one as well too. So that was not the big one, but it was big enough. I think you're going to get a couple guys that are wrecked, at least have some damage that are going to slow them down for the rest of the race, unfortunately.
Exactly right. Looking from the roof cam of Bobby Terrell. There's Rachel Hunt sliding right in front of him. Gets down the track, and the hole just closes up. Hard impact for the 5 machine. Damage definitely on the right side of that machine. Rachel Hunt came down. Looked like Jeff Bratton also came down into it as well. One of the Toyota drivers, I can't tell who that is, Richie. Possibly?
I believe that was the 8 of
Bernard Person. So Bernard Person, our defending champion, might have gotten some damage from that. Yes, he does. Let's see if we can get a replay from him.
So it looks like a couple of the Ford guys are taking advantage of this yellow coming down the pit road to top off. So that may put them back onto a one more pit stop strategy here. So
Bernard Person, actually, Rachel Hunt's to the outside of him, and he has nowhere to go. And heavy damage to that 8 machine. Tough break for Bernard Person as we looked out that front camera there. But yeah, let's go back to live action right now. And you see some drivers topping off fuel. And this is a great strategy for these 4 drivers because they pitted 8 laps before everybody else.
Yep, that's actually, it looks like they'll actually now have a couple laps fewer laps on their tank of gas, so they may actually be able to go a little bit further than those guys that had just pitted. So you have guys like Tony Solari, the number one pitted. The number 12 is on pit road. Brony Hanna's on pit road. Randy McCannon pitted. So yeah, it looks like the whole Ford camp came down and topped off. So that puts them closer on strategy for the rest of the guys there.
We now, Richie, see some other drivers coming in. Those are guys that are laps down. Wayne Grossi in that group as well, coming in to pit road right now. But wow, 43 laps complete here in the LoonyBin Lures 250, and we make it through the pit stops. But then those initial outlaps, Richie, those tires are up to heat, and we saw what could happen when you have a car that's just on the edge here tonight.
Absolutely. The first couple laps after you pit, you definitely want to take it easy. Not that I'm saying that Rachel did not, could have just got away, got a little puff of air that she wasn't ready for. But yeah, it can go away pretty quickly. But I think the biggest benefactor of this caution is that number 51, who's actually still in the lead now. That pack never got a chance to swallow him up, and now he's starting on the inside on the pole.
Yeah, and that's, the other thing about that, Richie, his teammate, Brad Patterson, is lined up right behind him. So he actually has some friends there. Dean Doucette is on the outside there, but he's got some friends up there. Before, it was just Brad Patterson and Brandon Elder trying to hold down the fort on the outside. And this time there's a little bit of help there for Brandon Elder, but we're about ready to go back to green already. This is a quick caution, something iRacing implemented a couple builds ago now to kind of alleviate some of those long caution periods here at the super speedways. But we'll re-rack them. Brandon Elder, the leader. Ronnie Royal, second. Brad Patterson, Jason Spear, Brian Helm, Dean Doucette, Casey Mullen, Ralph Nolan, David Hensley, and Lane Allen, your top 10.
So that caution, as I mentioned, cautions always can change the outlook of a race. And now you got the Fords who were looking to have to possibly make 3 pit stops. They're closed up on fuel now. They only have to make the 1 pit stop just like everybody else. And now you got 2 team cars on first and third here that may break up the Spear Motorsports stronghold in this race. So it should be a pretty interesting second half of the race here.
Green flag back out. Great shot. Brad Patterson was able to lock bumpers already with Brandon Elder coming down into turn number 1, and the 51 to 28 put those drivers out to the front, and Ronnie Royal trying to get some help from Jason Spear.
Looks like everybody's coming up to speed. We have 2 lines forming here at the front, and I think we've made it through the first half of this lap with no issues. I think, like I said, everybody's coming up to speed, and it looks like we got a real double wide run here for the lead.
83 pushing the 24, the 28 pushing the 51 as they come through turn number 3. Looking at our digger cam there. Very, very awesome shot there. Brandon Elder trying to hold on right now, getting a shot from Brad Patterson. He's going to lead this lap coming across the line. 46 laps complete.
I don't know. I feel the energy starting to ramp up. I'm seeing this pack double wide now, further back than it's been for the entire race. I think these guys are starting to get a little excited.
Let's go in the middle of that pack. Let's jump on board Brody Hanna there in the 23 machine on the outside groove there. He's running back in 14th position right in the middle of that hornet's nest.
I'm looking up front here, and it looks like 83 has kind of lost his partner there, and Ronnie Royal moved down in front of him. Looks like the Spears Motorsport guys are falling into 3rd and 4th here, giving up the outside lane.
So Spear Motorsports, we have not, and this has been throughout Speed Weeks, whether it's the Truck Series race, the Xfinity Series race, and now tonight, the Spear Motorsports guys have been the guys out front, and now we see a newcomer to the top. It's Brandon Elder, and Brandon Elder has not won a race in nearly 2 years. So we know Brandon Elder is thirsty for a win in the oval side of the series. He did win a sports car race here at Daytona in FTSR. And he's a 2K3 champion at FTSR, but iRacing has not been kind to the 51 driver. But Brandon Elder leading this pack right now as we're approaching halfway here tonight.
Well, him and his teammate are doing a fantastic job at the front, but I'm sitting here watching the 95, the 14, and the 1 making hay on the outside. They're coming.
That's Ralph Nolan, part of Franchise Racing, or No Excuses Racing it was last year. The 40-year-old out of South Carolina leading that outside line with Lane Allen right behind him, Kevin Rupert, and Gil Gock out of Florida there in the background. So we got 4 drivers there, and then we got a little bit further back, Richie, Brody Hanna, looks like Jared Daniels, and Tony Soler also on the outside.
It's definitely looked like they've calmed down a little bit after the opening laps of the restart, but it's... I don't know, man. It's getting a little exciting here. People are starting to trying to get into spots. I think we're in definitely for an exciting second half here.
Yeah, and that caution, Richie, you alluded to it, came out pretty much right at halfway of this event. So we still have at least one more pit stop left in this race. Maybe a caution left in this race the way they're going. They see some side drafting from the 95. So there's still a lot to play for. Pretty much everything's still to play for in this race. Nothing is done and dusted yet. But those top 4 drivers on the outside not getting a lot of help as the bottom line getting single file.
Them guys on the outside are definitely running for it. They're definitely trying to get up front, and when they get single file and in line like that, they can definitely start to move up. When they start to wiggle a little bit behind each other and leave gaps, that's when they're starting to fall back a little bit. But again, it's anybody's race at this particular point. As alluded to, Spears Motorsports have had a stranglehold on the plate racing this week. and they're definitely finding themselves in a spot they're not actually used to. And we have Brendan Elders up here in the lead and doing a fantastic job.
So Richie, you know, when you get into this kind of point in the race, kind of a lull in the race, if you will, what is your communication like? Are you trying to figure out what the next step in the race is? Are you trying to plot 25 laps from now? Are you just kind of relaxing while you have a chance to? What goes through the mind of a driver in this middle part of the race?
Well, this middle part of the race, you've been in the car. I've been in the car for about 50 laps for about half the race. It's been a long race. We got through one pit stop. We've been through one of the big ones. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to just be relaxed. You're trying to relax yourself so you're not wearing yourself out. You got another half of the race to go yet. So if you've been up on the wheel a little bit too much, you can wear yourself out pretty easy. Get stressed out. And when you're stressed out like that, you tend to make mistakes. So when I'm in a spot like this, I'm just trying to make laps, trying to make my marks, trying to just relax and take it easy. And at the same time, you're trying to do that strategy. You're trying to talk to your team. You're trying to talk to your crew chief. When are we going to pit? What are we going to do? How do we make it up front? What do we do to get by these guys? And so while you're trying to relax and take it easy, you're still strategizing to see how you can make the most of the second half of the race.
That's amazing insight. But right now, we looked on board Donnie Staubitz there for a bit. He's making a move to the outside. He's got on the back of Kevin Rupert. And Ralph Nolan getting a nice push from Lane Allen and a little side draft from the 95. And he's going to be parallel to Brandon Elder coming to turn one. But just needs a few more cars out there, and I think they might be able to get it done.
Yep, they got a pretty good line going on the outside there, and looks like they lost a little bit something coming out of two, but they might gain that coming down the backstretch with a pretty good run going here.
Brad Patterson hasn't left the back of that 51. There were some updates here on iRacing that basically allowed you to lock bumpers a little bit more than previously, so the cars don't overheat as much. And then when you pull out of line, they cool down much quicker, which has allowed some of that locking that we're seeing between the 28 and the 51 here tonight. We see Rachel Hunt heading on pit road, so tough night for the 16 driver as she will be back on pit road after some damage from that earlier wreck.
Yeah, you hate it anytime somebody like that has a good race going and something like that happens. So, she'll be back and she'll be strong for the rest of the season, I'm sure.
So, Richie, you were talking earlier about, the things that go through in the middle part of the race. Trying to prepare for your next pit stop is one of those things. And we know everybody has to pit. When you're thinking about, pitting, do you think about, let's stretch this until I run out of fuel? Or do you kind of split this thing up and say, well, we know we can do 35 laps. We can pit on 70 instead of trying to stretch it to 90. Or does that or do you like to run your gas tank out?
Well, I mean, it really depends on the track. Someplace like Daytona, you have to kind of find your happy medium with your team because you can't just pit by yourself and expect to be able to get back up to speed. So you have to work that out with at least one other team member to be able to come in. So you got to find that happy medium. And a track like this, where you can go pretty much close to the end, I like to tend to try to get closer to the middle of the run. If I got to make that pit stop that way, if anything happens, you still got a little bit of the race left to try to make up for any mistakes or anything that happens. So on a race like this, I would like to try to go more towards the middle of the run to pit. But again, you got to find that happy medium with your team.
That's a really good point, Richie. And let's take a look real quick here at our pit strategy and stint links here. You see Brandon Elder pitted on lap 39. He's been out there 15 laps. Ronnie Will 18 laps. So some guys on different agendas right now, and that's going to be something to pay attention to. We got 3 damaged cars: Wayne Grossi, Dale Nearad, and Tracy Powers. It looks like heading out on the outside line there.
Yeah, and that last caution definitely plays in. But again, as you alluded to, you can pit now. Everybody's going to have to pit once. So that coming into it that everybody has to pit once. Now it's a matter of when you and your team are going to take that pit stop. And you're going to take it at halfway. You're going to take it with 10 laps to go. Or you're going to try to short pit to try to get up front. So it's definitely up to the teams to kind of come up with what they think is going to be a winning strategy to get in front of Brandon Elder and Brad Patterson.
That's a really good point, Richie. And you look at these guys racing hard right now, looking at pit stops very soon, but we're starting to get a little scraggly in the middle of this group. Looking back around Case McMullen, David Hensley, some guys jumped out of line and went to the high side, and we got some gaps in this main pack now.
And that's what I was alluding to at the very beginning, is that these cars don't suck up like the trucks do. If this was a truck race, those guys, Case McMullen, would be sucking right up the gill within, you know, a half a straightaway here. But these Cup cars, they'll take a full lap, maybe even two, before you actually can get to suck up the car if there's a gap like that. So it takes a little bit of time to make that run. But when you do get the run, you usually have a pretty good run. But these cars, it takes the time to suck up, which is why I think the outside lane might be having a little bit of an issue trying to get up to the front tonight.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Richie. And you look at these guys trying to make something happen on the outside line, but Ralph Nolan continued to drop back even further now.
Staying in line and getting a group of guys one behind each other is extremely important. And if you get one guy that pokes his nose out to say cool the front of his car, it'll stall the whole entire lane. So even in the second, there's guys third, fourth, fifth in line, they all have to stay right in each other's tire tracks. And if they don't, it's like I said, it stalls the whole line. As you can see, they're a little bit forming up a little bit better, and they're starting to make headway back forward again.
Still working lap 58 here. And, you know, as you talked about earlier, Richie, splitting that thing up. Getting around that time where these guys can start making it to the end. We know that the Blackwater guys that are leading the race, they made it 40 laps. So lap 60, 61, their window's open at that point in time. Do you think we'll see some early takers? Do you think everybody's going to play it coy here and not show their hand too early?
I see what you did there with the coy. I actually, you know what, I'm expecting right around lap 65. I think we're going to start to see some guys come in at about lap 65. That's my guess. If I'm a betting man, I'm thinking 65. That gives you about 35 laps to go. So I would expect to see our first pit stops right around 65, but you may see one or two come in before then.
This race has been pretty much everything we expected, I think. A little attrition, definitely some teams getting some advantages here and there, and we're definitely seeing some 2x2 racing, but these guys seem to be starting to form up a pitting party here because Ralph Nolan's lost some more drivers on that outside line. And again, you look at that line, I don't know if you could tell from our camera shot, but it stretches way back on the inside line as these guys all getting ready to pit here tonight.
You know, it's plate racing by itself, by its nature, because all these cars are in a big, huge line like this. This, more than any other type of racing that you can do, is a strategy-based racing. This is an actual chess game that you're playing at 100, 200 miles an hour. And as a driver, this is one of the few races that you have to do that. You go to some place, you know, even like Charlotte or something like that, where you're running around and you're hitting your marks. That's what you're doing every lap. You're hitting your marks. Here, yes, you're hitting your marks everywhere you're going, but you're also thinking about, all right, how do I draft? Who do I draft with? When do I pit? Do I need to get to the bottom? There's so much things going through your mind here, besides the fact that you're doing 200 miles an hour. So plate racing is definitely a unique type of racing for sure. And I do expect, like I said, I'm still guessing 4 more laps before we see some pits.
Approaching lap 61, just 3 drivers officially out of the race. Chris Beck, Zach McDaniel, Jeff Bratton. So 36 drivers remaining here from our original 39. Several drivers damaged on pit road, getting repairs made on and off pit road. But right now, as Richie said, we're getting close to pit stop time. And some cloud cover moving in over here at Daytona, darkening up the track just a little bit here. And that'll affect the handling of these machines a little bit too, and that will actually cause the car to burn a little bit richer. Am I right?
Yep, absolutely. And what ends up happening is you might run richer at one end of the track because it's under cloud cover, and this track is so big, it'll be open skies at the other end, so the car will run completely different at the other side of the racetrack.
Yeah, let's take a look at that weather real quick here. 10-mile-an-hour headwind down the back straightaway. That's never fun. And we're looking at 82 degrees track temp. So the track is cooling down just a little bit here at 4:30 in-game time here at Daytona. Back there right now, we look on that outside line. We got Kevin Sargent trying to make a move up toward the front of the pack, but he's going to tuck in line there.
Actually, I was just about to mention him. He actually looked like he got a little bit loose going into 3 there on the bottom, and actually ended up coming up to the top to try to save it, and he actually did save it and did not get into the outside wall. So he went into 3 a little bit loose.
Kevin Sargent is a kind of a guy you have to kind of watch out for at a plate race, because he will always be there at the end of that race. If he doesn't get caught up in an incident, he's always a player in these plate races. Had a great run at Talladega, the last plate race we actually ran here at Full Throttle Sim Racing last season. Had a really good run, and part owner of Raging Moose Racing, owner of LoonyBin lure. So shout out to Kevin Sargent here tonight, having a great run there in the 09, sitting there in 15th position, just ahead of David Hensley, a previous winner, and Sher Williford, a previous winner as well.
I'm kind of scrolling through here because I thought I just saw something. It looked like there was a modified run on the racetrack, but now I can't find it. It might have just been my particular view. Oh, wait, there it is. Number 25, Terry Cooper. He's actually in the draft, and he doesn't even have the front nose on his car. He is doing a fantastic job keeping up with the draft right now.
Let's see if we can get a good shot at Terry Cooper Jr., part of that Steve Berry Racing group. And looks a lot like Tracy Powers, but yeah, no front flip at all on that. And we saw Tyler Reddick in that race on Sunday kind of have the same look going on. But Terry Cooper Jr. holding in the draft. And I think his problem was once he got out of the draft, that car was pretty useless. But when he has somebody in front of him or behind him, he's able to stick with it. But we saw him drop off the pace after that wreck. But seems to have gotten that thing going again. So Terry Cooper Jr., can never count him out in any race, but I don't think his chances of winning are very high right now with that damage, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be a good leader at this particular point. He might be able to push and follow, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to head a line like that. But he's doing a great job trying to keep up. We're on lap 65. If I'm right, this would be the when I'm expecting people to come down. Let's see if I'm right here.
And we look coming off the turn. It's Ronnie Royal. It's Ronnie Royal and Jason Spear going to take a good look down there. David Hensley in, Sher Williford in, and Brian Helm hit the cone. I do believe he is going to get a penalty for that, so the 26 car could be undone by a penalty here, but Ronnie Royal in, so it looks like Spear Motorsports and Bandit Racing deciding to make a pit stop here on lap 65.
Well, that's going to be, if he does get a penalty for that, and I do believe he will receive a penalty for hitting that cone for an unsafe pit entrance. As I mentioned, pit road, very, very important here.
We've seen Brian Helm make those kind of mistakes, unfortunately, at the plate races mostly. Brian Helm, very solid driver. He won the Truck Series Championship last year, but that cone, that commitment cone, has been a thorn in his side, and it looks like Spear Motorsports kind of by themselves right now. Nobody else is joining them on pit road.
You know, it's again, we go back to everybody talks about the speed here at Daytona, but slowing down and not being up to speed just as important, if not more, than being up to speed.
So as that cycles through, we have 4 Blackwater Steve Berry Racing drivers up front. Elder, Patterson, Allen, and Donnie Staubitz has joined the group. Donnie, probably one of the best road course racers in the series, and you see him out here at the Super Speedway, sticking that 99 machine up in the top 5 right now, doing a good job. And just behind him is one of the rookies this season, Jared Daniels, in that 21 machine.
Believe it or not, Donnie Staubitz and I actually raced modifieds together on the Race of Champions tour in the early 2000s. So I go back a little bit with Donnie Staubitz.
Well, there you go. Donnie, a very renowned Northeast modified racer. We've seen some of the machines he's driven over his career there. Really awesome. See, we have several real racers. I mean, yourself, Richie, has raced in real life. I believe there's a couple other drivers that have raced in real life here in various different forms of racing. So always cool to see that play out in a sim racing environment.
Absolutely. It always adds that extra element. So the looks like the Spears Motorsports guys is formed up, and I do believe that this is going to be in their favor because they're going to catch this draft. So now that they've pitted and they've caught this, the draft has caught them, they're going to be able to suck up to this draft, and this may be advantageous for them when the other guys pit.
And we saw this pretty much the same kind of situation before it. You know, the Fords came in first last time, and then they came back out right in front of the pack, and it looks like the same situation is going to happen again. Jason Spear leading that group right now on the bottom, but he is would be the last car on the lead lap, as Royal technically is 1 lap down there in 24th position. So 22 drivers in that pack. But now, Richie, you know, the leaders are caught on the outside. They can't do anything. we could have some battle for the lead here because of these guys a lap down here.
Well, that, and you're also going to have, if they want to pit, they're going to have an issue pitting because they're on the outside. They're going to have to back off. And again, that's what's going to lead to having the guys on the inside maybe pick up a little bit of time overall throughout this whole process.
A lot of strategy moves there because, you know, Spear Motorsports, I mean, they're just holding the bottom line. And, you know, if you can make somebody back down to pit, I mean, that's advantageous for you right now. We look down through the rest of it. We haven't had very many other takers here pitting. Trying to look down through the list. Doesn't look like we have any other takers yet.
Not that I've seen so far.
65, the last for everybody, for the Spear guys, 42 for everybody else, or 39, which was the last green flag stop. But right now, Jared Daniels, he is the 5th car in line there. He has actually moved up to 3rd position overall. And if he can keep pushing those Spear guys, he might be taking the lead here in just a moment.
I have a feeling we're going to have to get those guys on the outside are going to have to get down here. They may end up having to pit. Oh, we got some guys blending in front of the pack here. But they're going to have, if they got to pit, they're going to have to come down through the Spears guys.
That was Paul Sargent with an abrupt blend there, but luckily no harm, no foul. But this is a big line. There's only 4 drivers on the outside line right now, all Blackwater Steveberry Racing drivers. And Jared Daniels with Gary Griffith, Gil Gock, Kevin Rupert, all trying to hang out there and trying to get the lead here, really.
Right, because the first 4 guys on the bottom of the front lane are actually behind, basically a lap down.
Exactly right. 28 laps to go. This thing has flown by. We've only been racing a little over an hour here, and we've had 2 cautions, but they've been very quick cautions here tonight. Nothing too lengthy of cleanup. Only 3 drivers out of the event right now, but it is finally the Blackwater drivers able to get down low, or some of them are.
We got a car off the pace in 3 and 4,
and that could be Paul Sargent. And it looks like he's okay. Brad Patterson actually off the pace. Brad Patterson might be out of gas. He is slow on the apron. That's who Richie was talking about. And Brad Patterson not going to make it into the pits. Tough break for Brad Patterson, the 28. I think Richie, he wasn't able to get to pit road.
Yep, looks like he just hit the tow button to get towed back to the pit lane. So it looks like he might have, you're right, he ran out of gas.
And that's a very tough break, very unfortunate situation. I don't think he was able to get down there, and the 28 machine ran out of gas on the track. See some drivers that have just got done with pits that had some damage there. You see Brandon Elder and company coming in right now. Or no, Brandon Elder stayed out, but we do have some guys coming in. Richie, Gary Griffith, Ralph Nolan, Gil Gock all in, as well as McCanney, Cooper, Hanna, Vrooman, and Chad Lang.
Tony Solari in the 74 is in that one as well. So it looks like the majority of the Ford drivers are coming down right now.
Richie, I'm really surprised. You look at Lane Allen, Brandon Elder, Dean Doucette, Casey McMullen, and those guys all pitted on 39. Brad Patterson also pitted on 39, and Brad wasn't able to make it on gas. But these guys still staying out, and it doesn't look like there's any indication they're going to pit this time.
I would be a little worried myself at this particular point if I was his teammate Brandon Elder, because maybe something happened outside of running out of gas. I don't know, but if he ran out of gas, I'd be quaking in my boots that I'd want to get into pit road as quickly as I could.
We're seeing some of these guys coming off pit road. Gil Gock in this group. He's at 85 red there on your screen. He is the lead group of the second pack coming out there. There's some guys ahead of him as well that had a really good pit stop. That include, looks like Chad Lang and Bobby Terrell in that group as well. Brody Hanna also in that group. Gary Griffith. Those guys really good pit stops.
If they 3 Fords there, the 12, the 21, and the 23 can get hooked up together, they have a very good shot of being in front of this pack when this is all said and done. I see Tony Solari coming up to speed. He pitted with all the Fords. I wonder what happened in his pit road, because he definitely took it. Unfortunately, it looks like a long, extended pit stop.
We're showing a 52-second pit time, which usually indicates a penalty for speeding or some sort like that. So I'm thinking that might be what have happened there to Tony Soler in the 74 as you see him getting lapped down. But those Spear guys still leading this top group here. They're on the tail end of the lead lap right now. Brandon Elder still working on the outside. It doesn't look like he's making any indication to pit with 24 laps to go here.
He, hopefully, I guess maybe he's hoping for a caution that he can keep a lot of these guys a lap down. But like I said, after watching what happened with his teammate, I'd be a little bit nervous.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure Brad Patterson ran out. It just, he, could have blown an engine, could have had something else happen. But from what we could tell, it was something that put him off pace and into the garage on pit road. Basically had to get towed back to the pits. Kevin Sargent just coming out of pits. He's going to get passed by the group now. Will Brandon Elder lead Blackwater down pit road this time? No, he won't.
Nope, they're staying out one more lap.
But, Richie, you're talking about some of these Ford guys getting linked up. I mean, they are well out in front of this group. And when this Blackwater group does pit, hopefully sooner than later for the Ford guys, Gary Griffith is going to be leading this event.
That's exactly what I was talking about with them having such good pit stops and the fact that they're all linked together. Even if this big, huge pack does run them down, it's not going to go by them, which is going to put them in front of the lead, eventually the lead pack. So I think they're sitting in a pretty good spot here.
Yeah, so the top 5 have not pitted yet. That's Casey McMullen, Dean Doucette, Donnie Staubitz, Lane Allen, Brandon Elder. Those guys are the Blackwater Steve Berry Racing. Here they come right now, and they all make a big move down to pit road. So those 5 drivers, we'll have to see where they come out. But that's going to turn the lead over to the 12 car of Gary Griffith, followed by his teammate Jared Daniels, followed by Brody Hanna, Randy McCanney, Kevin Rupert, and Ralph Nolan, all in this group of 6 cars that pitted. And they have a 3-second lead over Jason Spear right now.
Now, I would expect that the main pack would actually catch them. But again, they're going fast enough that they're going to catch them slowly. And when they do get to them, they're not going to have enough of a run to be able to go by them. So it should be a pretty good race as we watch that second pack try to catch that small little front pack. And I'm watching the Blackwater guys come out of the pits right now pretty close to each other.
And we're looking at the Blackwater guys. Those guys are in turn number 1. The 51, the 29, the 14, the 71, all kind of together there. And where will Gary Griffith catch them? They had a good pit stop, Richie. Dean Doucette leading those guys out. But I don't think they're going to catch them as quickly as I anticipated. And there might be a big gap here.
I actually think Dean Doucette went through the pits. I don't think he actually even stopped in the pits. I think he might have missed them.
And Richie, we're just getting word that is the case. Dean is back in, so tough break for the 2-time Cup Series champion. That's going to be hard for the Blackwater guys because now they've lost a driver in their group. There's only 3 of them versus 6 Ford or associated drivers in that group. So tough break for Dean Doucette.
Pit road, man, pit road.
That's always something to pay attention. So now we have a 3-car lead from Brandon Elder, Lane Allen, Casey McMullen. They have a 3.5-second lead over Gary Griffith, Jared Daniels, Brody Hanna, McCanney, Rupert, and Nolan in that group. And those guys have a 1-second lead over Jason Spear, Ronnie Royal, David Hensley, Sherwood Williford, and Gil Gock. So it's all split up now, and it's coming down to the end. 20 laps to go here at the LoonyBin Loris 250 at Daytona.
Yep, I'm watching that second backpack just now catching the front Ford pack here. The Ford guys have now split into 2. I guess to try to keep it from getting overrun. So now we got a big second group here. They should catch the front 3. I would say it was probably within 4 or 5 laps. And
was that a strategy move, or did they just kind of get fed up riding around, or was it like, hey, we can't let these guys come through with a head of steam?
Well, this is team racing, so it is not unheard of that you got 2 guys, especially when there's 4 guys in a team like this, to be able to run 2x2 deep to try to keep both lanes going forward here.
And right now, I'm a little bit surprised, but these 3 drivers by themselves, Elder, Allen, and McMullen, are actually increasing their gap over Gary Griffith. So can these 3 drivers hold off this pack, Richie?
I wouldn't expect so, but anything's possible. I mean, it's Daytona, man.
So 19 laps to go. and there's a 4.2 second lead for Brandon Elder, 4.5 second lead, apologies, from Brandon Elder to Gary Griffith. So this is going to be huge, this race coming down to the wire here. Let's take a look at the time deltas here between Gary Griffith and Brandon Elder here.
Well, I'm seeing some lap cars in front of those three. And even though they're lap cars and they're running slow, it still gives the lead Brandon Elder something to draft off of. So that's going to help Brandon Elders and those two other cars to move forward here, even the lap cars. So anything helps. Any little piece helps.
So we're looking at this lead group here, and you see the gap, our bar graph gaps. The longer that bar is, the bigger the gap. So it is coming down, but those are also configured in some pit stops in there as well. But right now, Gary Griffith is losing time. So this second group, they're battling out, and these three drivers ahead have managed to pick up a second.
Anything can happen at Daytona. It's boggling. I would have expected this group would have caught those three, but good on them. You know what, Brandon Ellers, they had a great pit strategy. It looks like it worked out to their advantage. So let's see if it works out for them.
Brandon Elder grabbed a win, his first in several seasons. I believe his last win was at Dover in the Cup car a couple seasons ago, or well, I guess a couple years ago. I think 2018 B was his last win. But Elder's been on kind of a dry spell, and very well-liked guy, very, a founding member of FTSR with Brody Hanna. So, I mean, he has been around since the beginning. And it would be great to see the 51 car in victory lane, always around for any kind of technical questions as well, it seems like. But those three drivers right now leading the pack, and they have a 5.7 second lead over Gary Griffith, Brody Hanna, Jared Daniels, that second group, just not able to make any moves happen. And I think, Richie, if we're going to have a wreck, it's going to be in that second group because these guys not making much progress forward.
Yeah, we're down to under 20 to go, and this is when frustrations start to boil over, and people start to try to do whatever they can to get to the front. So you might start seeing some crazy up and down moves that may end up causing the big one. But I think we might look like I thought they were going to go 3 wide there on the backstretch. So as I was saying that, but yeah, I think we're going to start to see some frustration starting to boil over, and people trying to go as quickly as they can here.
Now, Richie, if you're, any time in a race, we do have 3 wide now. Ralph Nolan on the outside, Go Gox sticking it through the middle, but nobody going up there with Ralph right now, it looks like, so Ralph's going to get back in line. When you're trying to work a 3 wide situation, trying to gain some spots, how long can you wait?
There again, it's everything I've been thinking about this race so far has not really come to fruition, so... if the further you are back in the pack, the quicker you got to do it. So if you're sitting second or third in line, you could wait to the very end. But if you're at the tail end of this pack, you need to try to get up. You just need to start making your way forward here. You need to start getting 1 or 2 cars wherever you can. So it really depends on where you are in the pack.
Andrew Palicki getting out of the way in that 96 machine, but it was tight through there. And Richie, you kind of alluded to it. You just have to find, sometimes it seems like the move just kind of opens up for you, and that's when you go. But knowing when it opens up for you and not missing your chance, it's hard to do.
That it is. And that's what I was alluding to before, is that even the everything's a strategy. Everything is, do I go there? There's a hole. Do I go? The lane's not moving. Is it moving? Can I help that lane? Is my, do I have a partner up there? If I want to make it 3 wide, will that person behind me go with me? So there's so much that goes into every move here, and you got to make those decisions, lickety split, within milliseconds. So it's a very tough thought process on where you're going to go and when you're going to go and who you're going to go with.
And the other thing too, the flip side of that, Richie, for me is, well, it's only 1 point. So it's like, do you risk tearing up a bunch of cars or tearing up your car for 1 point? It's 1 point per position here in the Cup Series. So it's a kind of a delicate balancing act. But these top 3, Richie, they've opened up their gap to 7 seconds.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
I'll be honest, I was not expecting that to happen.
Unbelievable job by these guys, and you wonder, who is going to pop out and try to make something happen here for themselves as this race goes down. But right now they're content to run single file. Back in the second pack, that's where we're focusing right now. It's led by Gary Griffith on the inside, Brody Hanna on the outside, 2 Ford drivers, Fury Motorsports and GT Performance Sim Sports, the owners of those teams, trying to make something happen. Ralph Nolan, the Chevy, trying to make something happen on the outside. Brody Hanna able to get down in front of Gary Griffith, so move him into 4th place and on the bottom line there.
Well, perhaps maybe Brody being in the front of the line there, he might be able to pull that group up a little bit, but it's going to be hard pressed. These guys have such a big lead, even with the 11 laps to go here. It's going to be hard pressed for this group to catch them. And without a question, those 3 are going to be sailing along here.
Let's look at the last lap times here. So they're Brandon Elder and Casey Mullen, that group, coming across the line. They did a 45 flat, so 45.09. This pack did a 45.3, so 0.3 of a second slower. 11 laps to go, and they got to figure out a way to make up 7 seconds. Richie, it's not looking very good for these guys.
No, I unfortunately, it looks like they're going to have to get single file in order to make this run to catch the lead 3. And honestly, I don't see them getting single file to work together here. They're fighting for every position, for every point, and that's what they're there to do. So they're putting on a good show here, and let's hope that they can continue to run to the end here and putting on a good show. But yeah, unless they get single file, it's going to be hard pressed to catch that top 3.
So Brody Hanna leading that inside. Randy McCanny now leading the outside line. Those cars working together in this race, kind of leading this pack line. And it could be part of that strategy why Brody dropped down there, maybe thinking that these 2 guys leading the lines can, like you were saying, Richie, be able to pull some time back. That time by a little bit quicker, 45.1, but those top 3 still running 45 flats. Unbelievable how quick they're doing it.
Yeah, I was looking at my little sheet here, and it looks like they gained another 2/10 last lap, and that's not what I was expecting. I expected this big group to swallow them up, but they're doing a great job of staying in line, keeping close, keeping that draft nice and tight up front, and they're pulling away.
Continuing to work here. Inside 10 to go, 9 laps to go. Brandon Elder trying to grab a win. He has won at Daytona, but it's been...
They made it through. Sorry. 95 came down and got into the side of the 12, and it broke up that group. This may be an opportunity for them to do some catch-up here if they can get single file, but that was almost a big one there, right through the triangle. Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're perfectly fine, Richie. Glad we got that. We did not see the incident there on our screen, but these guys keep going. But we're going to stay with this pack because that's where the action is. Brandon Elder, Lane Allen, Casey Mullen, those guys leading right now, but they are by themselves kind of in line. We'll check back on them as the race gets toward its finish. But right now, this pack, this is where the action is, as we have, about 15 cars in that group.
And now we got the top 5 on the bottom line are single file. This may help this pack move forward. But again, with less than 7 laps to go, it's going to be hard pressed even at this point to even catch it. The top 3 are doing a fantastic job. And now we got guys, the Spears Motorsports guys, hopping to the outside here. So I think these guys have relegated themselves to try to fight for 4th on back.
Yeah, and you're looking, Richie, right now, 8 laps to go. They're going to come across the line, 7 laps to go. These guys are going to have to gain more than 1 second a lap, which is going to be pretty much impossible. We haven't seen 44-second laps since the beginning of this race. So I don't see that happening, and they're not really making too much progress right now. But I think you're exactly right, Richie. These guys are going to battle it out back here for 4th place. Brody Hanna, Randy McCanny, Ronnie Royal in that group as well.
Looks like Spears Motorsports have linked up with that. Ronnie Royal and Jason Spears have linked up on the outside. They got a nice push going. They've been linked up for almost a full lap here, and they've made their way to the front of the outside line here.
Ronnie Royal and Jason Spears, that group has led a large majority of this event here today, and then kind of a not even a slow pit stop. I mean, yeah, Ronnie Royal had a 13-second pit stop compared to 10 seconds by those leading 3 drivers, but they just lost it. I mean, I think by just staying out, pitting too early there for this group might have cost them some time. But right now, Ronnie Royal trying to push his way back to at least get in the top 5. as it looks like right now, unless something happens to these top three, that's the way they're going to finish.
Well, one of the things that we didn't talk about, and I think this is what the top three might have done, is by pitting later, by pitting so many laps later than the rest of the field, they had to put less fuel in the car in the pit stop to make it to the end. And that is a big time saver. As you said, it looked like it was a 3-second time saver, and that's where it started. So once you could save time like that on pit road, that's where they got their big, huge lead from.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Richie. I mean, number one, you save time by taking less fuel, and number two, less fuel equals more speed. So they are making some progress. Only a half a second gain, though, right now from Randy McKinney to Casey McMullen. So at that rate, they will still be way, way off the end of this race.
Yeah, I'm watching this pack come out of turn 2 as the lead pack is going into turn 3. So they have a whole Daytona straightaway lead going into the last couple laps here.
5 to go. Make that 4 to go as Brandon Elder comes out of turn number 4. These guys pretty much just kind of lined up right now. Ho-hum up front as we check in to see what's going on there. And we're going to head back to the battle in this back pack. And they're coming across the line right now. It's down to 7.3 seconds. Royal on the outside, McKinney on the inside. That's where our battle is for positions in this pack. 15 lead lap cars in there.
You know, as far as Brandon Elder, he's driving up front. He's doing a fantastic job. But these last couple of laps, this is where you start to hear the wheel coming loose. This is when you start to hear the drive shaft vibrating. This is where you start to hear the motor not sounding like it did for the first half of the race. You know, these last couple of laps, you hear every little tiny piece of difference in the car. And they become the longest laps of the race for Brandon Elder.
And the other crucial thing, too, is, you know, yeah, you have two teammates behind you, but, you know, they don't want to sit here and run second no matter what. And the other thing, like we talked about at the beginning of the race here tonight, Richie, there is a playoff spot, potential playoff spot on the line. You have to make at least the first, you have to make 20 races and be in the top 25 in points and to qualify, but a win, you know, could pretty much put you in already this season. And, you know, Lane Allen and Casey McMullen would love to get that.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see for the top three is they're going to run around single file here until they get the white flag. And then it's no holds barred. And because they have a long enough lead that they could run literally 3 wide for the entire last lap and duke it out. And the backpack still will not catch them.
Looking through this second pack, Brody Hanna trying to side draft with Ronnie Royal. Ronnie Royal trying to side draft with Randy McKinney. Getting dicey up here, but nobody yet, Richie, taking advantage of a third line, which I'm a little bit surprised because you're not going to be able to make any moves forward. I think that they would need to get that third line going pretty much now or maybe a lap before this.
Well, I think you might have a couple guys in the back of the pack that you would think to go 3 wide that might be sitting in 8th, 9th, 10th saying, look, there's 2 laps to go. We're not in the lead group that's going to win this race. And we're in the potential of having a top 10. We can get out of Daytona without, you know, with a top 10. Let's take this, go have a beer afterwards, and let's go to the road course next week.
And that's a good point, Richie. You know, I'm sure that there's some guys back here. Sure, Williford, Jared Daniels, those guys would love to finish in the top 10 here tonight. But they're going to have to work hard to get around here. Last lap here at Daytona. Let's check in with our race leaders and try to call this thing home here. 6.5 seconds.
They're
Brandon
still
Elder
file.
leading right now. Looking back at the second pack, still double file. Nobody making a move to the outside. Brandon Elder working his way through turn number 4. Will Lane Allen or Casey McMullen pop out? No. McMullen pops out. Lane Allen pops out. It's all by himself. It's going to be Brandon Elder to grab the LoonyBin Lures 250 win, followed by Lane Allen. Casey McMullen looking at the back of the pack. Wreck, Gil Gawk around, and Ronnie Royal is going to grab 4th place, followed by Jason Spear. And Richie, I don't know what happened, but we'll get a replay on it. But what a finish in that second pack.
Congratulations to Brandon Elder. They did a fantastic job.
And I don't know what happened to Randy McKinney and Brody Hanna, but something happened to those drivers, and we had a big wreck on the final lap here at Daytona. But this is all Brandon Elder here tonight. The 51 driver back in victory lane for the first time in 2 years. He's going to get it done here at Daytona. Unbelievable race, Richie.
they did a fantastic job. I wouldn't have thought that that strategy would have worked, but it worked out. They made it back. They beat the pack back, and they did a fantastic job. Congratulations to all three of them.
Holy
I'm not
cow.
quite sure what happened to Ronnie to the number 6 car. Looks like they came out of the corner and he went up to block the outside lane. Brody drove under him, and I'm not sure if there was a little contact there, but it definitely wasn't anything Ronnie Royals did contact wise. Um, so I'm not sure what happened.
Let's see
Looks
if
like
we
it
could
just might have
take
been
a replay here. And let's as we get this thing going here. Brody Hanna.
Looks like Brody might have got into Randy a little bit through in between 3 and 4 here. That might have made him get up to the outside lane. But then it looks like there might have been a little contact between the 6 and the 24. But I don't know. I don't think Ronnie had anywhere really to go. I think Randy, by no means of his own, came up a little bit, and then it was on from there.
Let's see if we can get a better view of that. And you see Randy McCanny, he's on the bottom side here. Brody Hanna right on the back end of him. And we're coming to the white flag here. So we'll just play through this last lap and give you guys a show of what happened with this second group. Everybody battling pretty hard through here. McCanny all over the back, or Brody Hanna, I should say, all over the back of McCanny going through the turn. Coming through turn number 2 now. We had somebody trying to stick out 3 wide. Looked like David Hensley might try to stick out there. Decided against it. Everybody's still single file. Or double file, I should say. And this is, I think, where the action started, Richie, is in turn 3. Brody Hanna getting onto the back bumper of the 6 machine. And I could not tell, but it looks like maybe McCanny got loose and then just got tagged by Ronnie Royal. And unfortunate night for the 6 and the 23, as those guys were heading for a top 5 finish, and they will finish back in the back half of the top 15.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing here, it just looks like it was good, hard racing. Everybody was racing for the best finish they could, and just close contact there. I don't think that anybody was out there overly aggressive. Just real hard racing there.
We're going to hear from our top 3 finishers, but first we're going to have a quick commercial break, and we'll be back to hear from the top 3 finishers here tonight at the LoonyBin Lures 250.
The field is rolling on the back straightaway.
Get ready. This is going to be tight. Out of turn 4, ladies and gentlemen. The All-American 400 is underway.
Got to be careful. The bumps here can get you every time. Entering the corner, exiting the corner.
We're back live here at Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing, where we saw an amazing race. It was mostly in the second part of the pack, but pit strategy, Richie, that's what the key was tonight, and Blackwater Motorsports, Steve Berry Racing played it to a T.
Man, I tell you, they did a fantastic job. I was a little worried for them, staying out so long to do their pit stop. Man, did they made me look foolish. They picked the perfect pit strategy. They stayed out. They took less fuel than the rest of the guys, and they got out front and just drove away. Fantastic job.
Unbelievable. And I'm sitting down here on pit road with one of those drivers, Casey McMullen. Casey, congratulations. You guys sweep the podium. Steve Berry Racing, Blackwater Motorsports, doing a whale of a job. Let's talk about the strategy, man. You guys played it to a T.
Yeah, we were just waiting to pit there. I guess some guys wanted to pit early. I didn't know why, but that wasn't our strategy. We just wanted to stay out for almost as long as we could and just come in, and it just worked out for us.
So, at the beginning of the race, you guys, the first group of pits, you guys stayed out 40 laps. Then that caution came out. Kind of put you guys back at the front of that field, kind of put you in control of this race at that point in time already. And then, again, like you said, we had that second caution, and then you stayed out another 40 laps. Did you guys think that you'd have that big of a gap coming off the pit road with just 3 of you, because you guys lost Dean Doucette?
Yeah, I wasn't too sure, but whenever we come out, me, Brandon, and Lane, and I looked in the relative, I knew we were in really good shape there. So it felt pretty good. Dean just had missed his pit stop, and Donnie had a little issue too, but too bad we didn't get to keep everybody up there, but it was a really good race for us.
Well, Casey, a great job. Third place. We know you can get done these Super Speedways. Looking ahead, this is huge for your team. You guys, like you alluded to, Donnie Staubitz, Dean Doucette, both of those guys were up in contention in this race. What kind of things are you guys doing this year differently than last year, looking at a longer season and a playoff on the line?
Boy, I really don't know. I think we're just continuing from last season, doing what we've been doing, and just, working really well together. So I think that's about it.
Well, Casey, congratulations, man. You guys earned it. You did a great job. I'm going to turn the floor over to you and let you have the last word here tonight.
Yeah, well, I'd like to thank Steve Berry at Blackwater Products USA for helping our team out and everything. Everybody on Blackwater Motorsports, Steve Berry Motorsports, and Fast Herd, we all do pretty good. We all work well together and stuff. So really appreciate everybody in the league and everything. It's a great group of guys we have here, and you guys putting on the show. Appreciate everything, and thank God, right? Have a good one.
All right, that was Casey McMullen, Richie. He was our third place finisher here tonight, and I believe you're down on pit road with a runner-up finisher, Lane Allen, who won the Truck Series race earlier this week.
Yes, sir, Jared. I'm down here with the number 14 Chevy, Steve Berry Racing, with Lane Allen. Lane, you guys ended up having the winning pit strategy. Did you guys have that strategy going into into that last pit stop?
Yeah, we basically just we had to pit.
Well, it definitely turned out to be the winning strategy. You guys were all able to come back up onto the racetrack together, and you guys all were nice in line and actually pulled away from the whole pack. You guys had pretty much a 7-second lead going into that last lap. We were wondering when you guys were going to break out and try to battle it between you guys.
And it looks like I didn't break out quite soon enough.
Well, this would be, I guess, your first second of the year. You had 3 of them last year in the last 2020 C season, so definitely used to the podium. You had a great run tonight.
Yeah, the set seemed to be good. I was surprised that we could pull away from the whole pack there at the end.
Well, they were doing some 2x2 and almost some 3-wide racing back there, and I think that held them back. But you guys are doing a fantastic job being in line and keeping a nice steady pace going on there. So, like I said, we were hoping you guys were going to break out and do it 3-wide there at the end. But fantastic job by all 3 of you guys. This should be a good spark for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, that's a good start there, no doubt. Glad to get it.
And you're coming off the win from the Truck Series from last year, so you're having a fantastic speed weeks here. You're looking forward to the rest of the season. Eldon's actually locked into the playoffs now, but you guys are now up. All you guys are now locked up front here at the beginning of the season. Any sponsors you guys want to throw out there?
Yes, Steve Berry, great group. Just glad to be a member here at this league. It's a great league.
That it is. I'm very upset that I got to miss the race tonight, but I'm glad I was able to help Jared out here in the booth. I'm glad to see you do a fantastic job here with your teammates. Congratulations again.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Richie, that was our runner-up here tonight. That was Lane Allen, and I am in victory lane with the winner, Mr. Brandon Elder. Congratulations, Brandon. I wasn't sure we'd ever interview you, man, but I am so happy that you were able to get it done tonight.
Yes, me too. I was feeling like I would never, ever get back in here to do an interview because, kind of feel like Morgan Shepherd. You ride around in the back, and that's about where I stay. So kind of lucked out today. I think a lot of that, my teammates, Brad, he pushed me, kept me up there, the first stop, and he ended up blowing up, and I feel bad for him because if he hadn't kept me where I was at, I wouldn't have been in a position to be there at the end.
Yeah, Brent, and that was a really good point. I mean, you guys, you and Brad especially started out at the beginning of this race pretty much by yourselves as far as teammates go, up at the front of that pack. I mean, you did get some guys that came in as the race went on and were able to get linked up, but was your strategy always to go the full 40-lap distance there?
We was really, yeah, it kind of worked out that way, but we were basing it on whoever the lead car was, and I had 2 or 3 laps less of fuel every time than everybody behind me, so we were basing it on when I was going to have to pit.
Gotcha. And then you guys were able to pit all together basically there. I think there were 6 of you that pitted right there at the lap 40 mark, and then we had a caution come out, and then we go through again, get those green flag stops going again. And, you saw Brad Patterson. He blew up there. We were wondering what happened. We didn't know if he ran out of fuel or if he blew up. But, you guys pitted together, you, Dean, Donnie, and Casey, and then you ended up losing Donnie and Dean. And it was just you, Lane, and Casey. Did you guys think that you could hold off that pack? Because you guys it was just you 3.
Honestly, when we came back out and got down to like 3.3 seconds back, and I seen it start climbing, half a second here, 6/10 here, I was like, we might make this work. And we just managed the temps and pushed, and we were faster for a while until they kind of, I guess, quit running too wide and tried to link up single file behind us. But by that time, it was just too late.
Well, Brandon, I mean, you're able to grab the win. And with this season here at FTSR, the 2021 season, that potentially locks you in the playoffs, man. I mean, that's got to be huge.
It is, because I don't know, beyond the plate tracks, I don't really know what I have going on. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Cup car is not normally nice to me, so I don't know what I got going beyond that.
Well, we have a road course next week, Brandon. We know you can get it done on those road courses. Are you looking forward to racing the Daytona road course here?
I am. I ran a few practice laps and they were very slick, so I'm kind of looking forward to it, but not as much as, say, this race. I was looking forward to this race because I knew we had a good car.
Well, Brandon, I wanted to bring in tonight's sponsor, Kevin Sargent, the owner of LoonyBin Lure Company. Kevin, thank you so much for sponsoring tonight's race, and I think you have a special presentation for Brandon here tonight.
I do, and I want to thank you guys for, bringing us into the league and giving us the opportunity to sponsor this. And I want to congratulate Brandon. We'll be getting that trophy out to him for winning the LoonyBin Lure Company 250 at Daytona, and hopefully we'll be sponsoring many more of these to come.
Well, there you go, Brandon. You're going to get a nice trophy for that. That's pretty awesome as well. Yes,
it is, and I was telling Kevin before we got in here, I appreciate them doing that, and it's a nice gesture, and it brings more realism to what we do.
It's really exciting. Kevin, thank you so much for that. Brandon, I'm going to turn it over to you, man. Let you have the last word here tonight for the broadcast. Congratulations again, and potentially locking yourself in those playoffs.
Yes, sir. I mean, pretty much. I mean, yeah. I mean, I want to thank Lane for not dumping me there and coming out from behind me on the last lap. I mean, he very well could have, and Casey could have pushed him right on by, but. And I told them, I'm fine. Whatever they want to do, it's all, everybody for themselves on that last lap. If they want to do that, that's fine. Well, whatever they wanted to do, and we kind of fanned it out there coming to the line to, not finish single file. But yeah, I mean, they could have pulled out sooner and done that. But once again, I had the No Bull 5 on the line too, on top of that. So.
A lot of things at play here tonight, but congratulations again, Brandon. I'm going to let you soak in that win, and thanks again, Kevin Sargent, for sponsoring tonight's race and that awesome trophy that we have seen pictures of. Can't wait to see Brandon Elder receive that. But Richie, what a night of racing we have, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to come in here on such short notice and jump in the booth. Unbelievable job, man. Thank you so much, and what a race we saw here tonight.
No, thanks for having me. It's definitely a different perspective. I've actually never been in the booth before for a race. Usually I'm down there on the track, so it's definitely a different perspective. So I appreciate it, the opportunity to at least help out the league in any way I can. Hopefully moving forward, I can make some of these races. That would be kind of nice. And but you know, coming back and helping you out, doing one or two more of these wouldn't be a bad idea either. So, but I appreciate the effort, the effort you guys do, the full Throttle TV. I think you guys do a fantastic job on a weekly basis, and I'm just glad I was able to help and step up for you guys.
Well, I appreciate Richie, and we still have a lot more action coming up this week. Wednesday night, the first Daytona Road Course race at Full Throttle Sim Racing here on Full Throttle TV. The Truck Series, the Blackwater Project's Truck Series, will be live from the Daytona Road Course. They're going to race at night, which is going to be crazy because the track is not as well lit as you saw in the NASCAR stuff, but it's still going to be a great race. Dean Doucette, Brad Patterson, they're going to have that coverage Wednesday night from 8:55 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss that. The ESRA IndyCar Series, those guys aren't racing on Thursday. We're actually going to be back on Sunday night with a doubleheader. We're going to have the Indy 500 at noon, a 500-mile race for the ESRA IndyCar Series. Myself and Dean Doucette will be covering that event. And then later that night, the Clash Series from Elite Sim Racing Association will be live from Daytona to kick their season off. And Dean Doucette and Brad Patterson will have that coverage Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss that. And then myself and DJ Lion, hopefully no weather will be implementing him from racing or watching next week. But DJ Lion will be back in the booth for the Daytona Road Course here at the Cup Series. I want to thank Richie Coy once again for stepping in on short notice. And thanks to everybody out there watching. We will see you guys out on the track next week.